Coach, two home games in Moody this week with this 1-2 start in the Big 12. What's kind of the sense of urgency, particularly with two home games back to back?
Well, I think anytime, Thomas, you start conference play, you have a level of urgency in terms of how you try to play. You really try to have that level of urgency, prior to conference play and as you're entering the conference play. But for us, what we've tried to do is we've tried to be who we are all season long. We never get too high, we never get too low, and we try to have an even keel. You know, um, a big game is the next game because it's a game right in front of us, and that's the mentality we've always had. And it's really centered around our culture, who we are.
Follow up, Thomas.
No, I'm good.
Roger, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, RT, when you get into Big 12 and now it's all about kind of that next opponent, how do you balance that with still trying to, improve in the practice time that you do get to work on things?
You just again, what we try to do is we always try to, look at what things we did really well in the game, things we need to continue to try to improve. That's always something that we address, in the next practice plan in terms of trying to get better, whether it's offensively related, defensively related, and we try to work at those things, continue to try to get better over the course of the season. When you're playing your opponent, next opponent, you also have in mind, ways of, how you're going to try to attack them offensively, how you're going to deal with them defensively in terms of what they do, and the strengths that they have as well.
Is there anything you can pinpoint that kind of needs to shift a little bit based on the first three conference games?
Well, we've shown flashes, pretty good flashes at times, where we've been really good defensively. And then we've had some flashes where we have to continue to get better, and we've had to continue to work on our transition defense, getting back and getting set and not giving up baskets in transition. But we've had games too where, Cincinnati, we do a great job of taking away transition defense. So, I think it's just, in terms of myself, working with the guys every day on our transition defense and understanding once we get back and we get set, we're pretty good when we sit down and guard on the half court.
Eric Henry, please.
Good afternoon, RT. Just a two-part question for you. One, just an early look here at Central Florida, specifically their guard playing Darius Johnson, I believe Jalen Sellers. And second part of that question, any concern at all, or just your overall thoughts on production from the bench? With only 9 points over the past two games, just overall thoughts on what you're getting from the bench.
Well, you know what? Johnson's playing tremendous for those guys right now. He can score downhill. He's shooting the basketball, I think, as well as he shot it in his career right now. I mean, he's made about 28, 29 threes to this point right now. So he's shooting the ball really well, along with attacking the basket, attacking in transition, getting his hands on a lot of balls. Sellers is a scorer. He wants to score the basketball. And he's scored all three levels. He's a guy that can shoot the three, he can shoot in the mid-range, he can get to the basket. Really good offensive player. And he too, and much like a lot of the guys on their teams, they get their hands on a lot of balls. They turn you over for points. And so you got to be strong with the ball. I think in terms of production of our bench, I think, we've had guys come in and make pretty good contributions for us over the course of the season from the bench. And, I look for that to continue to get better as we can continue to move through conference play. And, sometimes guys come in and they have an impact on the game, and sometimes it's not about the amount of points they scored. It's about how they come in and impact the game. I mean, Zerk came in a couple games ago and, he had 8 points in the game, but he really affected the game in so many other ways that didn't show up in the box score.
Terry Middleton, please, sir.
Coach, good afternoon. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Max, and you had shared a statement about Max. One of the things about him is he always hits his numbers. So I'm curious, who sets his numbers? Do you set his numbers? Does he set his numbers? And do you do that for all the other players?
You know what? Everything's such an analytical game now. Everyone's looking at what guys are shooting, whether it be twos or threes and free throw percentage, and what they shoot best on what side of the floor and all over the floor and things of that nature. But no, we don't really set a level or expectation, a certain level that Max has to shoot. He just always, makes his way to his mark in terms of being a guy that shoots pretty high percentage from three. And, he does what he does at the free throw line at 90%, and, he's kind of just one of those steady Eddie guys that, you can put it in the books, every night, and I think even this, I think, a lot of times we look at his points. I think there are other times that he affects the games with his passing ability where, he had 7 or 8 assists in the game and he's played really hard defensively as well.
So would you say he's aware of where his high percentage shots are and he's always going to them, or is that his secret sauce?
Yeah, I don't think he goes in the game saying that I've got to, shoot, from this side of the floor or from, a 2-point area, I've got to shoot X amount of shots. No, I think it's just natural for him. And I think he really just trusts the work that he puts in terms of his preparation and preparing for games.
Thomas Jones, please.
Hey, Coach, a quick rotation question. Well, number one, how's Kaden doing with that back, and might we see him tomorrow? And number two, Brock was so good as that energizer off the bench last year. How much thought have you given to him coming off the bench with this group?
Thomas, you got our practices right now and everything. I mean, you're getting right into the lineup already, man. No, you know what? Brock was a really good guy off the bench for us, and based on what we've done to this point, we've had guys get nicked up a little bit here or there, and he stayed in the lineup, and he's been very productive in terms of doing it, being a star in his role. But he was very productive coming off the bench a year ago, and it is something that we've looked at and possibly may try to do in upcoming games as well.
Any follow-up, Thomas?
And how's Kaden doing with that sore back?
Yeah, Caden's had a couple really good days of practice. I think he's trusting the process a little bit. He's had a chance to get really thoroughly checked and make sure there's nothing, any structural damage with what's going on with this back area. And he's one of those guys that wants to play physical, but also wants to be healthy. But he's had a couple good days of work.
Kirk Bowles, please.
Rodney, in your last game, it looked like y'all really struggled to get some defensive stops, down at the end when you had to have one. Is that your biggest concern for this team right now, the defensive side of the ball?
You know what, Kirk? We showed some really good flashes throughout the course of that game where we really guarded the way we want to guard. And I think, again, I'd say there's always a lot of growth with this team, and this team still has a high ceiling because we're still working through, playing with that urgency that you have to play with for 40 minutes on that end of the floor. And when we show we could do that, man, we've been really good, and, you go back to our Cincinnati game, even UNCG game, was 2 of our more complete games on the season, but we were very consistent and very similar to the way we played a year ago in terms of working the game for 40 minutes. We were able to get key stops. You didn't have to play perfect, but we were able to get key stops, and we were able to go down and execute on offense. And, those games in particular really felt like, the type of team that we had last year. And I think we're still growing toward that, and even through conference play, we'll be a team that I think continues to get better as we're more consistent throughout our defensive work in every game.
And to follow up, Dylan and Max have been shown they can be very prolific scorers. Is there a tendency for the other guys to sometimes sit back and wait for them to kind of take over the offense?
Well, I think our team clearly knows that those two guys are, a lot of times people equate your best players with your leading scorers, but they clearly know that we need those two guys to score the basketball for us every night. And, also play really good defense for us as well. But I think knowing that, I think other guys also understand how important it is for them to be starters in their role as well, and how much we need their contributions to what they bring to the table. We need IT, Ethiel Harden to be a guy that makes shots for us. That's why we recruited him, and we have him, on our roster right now and stuff. We need Kendall Weaver to come in and be a guy that brings energy and brings a defensive, mindset. And a lot of times scores off his defense for us. So we need those guys to be stars in their role. Brock Cunningham, we need him to make it open shots for us and stretch the floor. But again, they clearly understand who, a lot of times we're playing through, but those guys also know, what we need from them. Tyrese Hunter, Dylan Mitchell. We need those guys, their contributions as well.
Thanks, Rodney.
Mike Harge, please.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, I want to follow up with that because, you brought up Dylan Mitchell, and he's been doing a great job getting the boards and playing on both ends of the floor. But Tyrese Hunter, too. This is a guy that you've asked a lot from, and he's continued to get better. What are two things that are standing out from both of these guys that they're bringing to you every single game?
Yeah, Mike, I think Tyrese Hunter is at his best offensively when he's really locked in and dialed in defensively. When he comes in with the mindset that he's going to sit down and really guard and play hard-nosed defense, offense comes really easy for him. He'll make a meaningful shot. He'll distribute the ball, right on the money. He'll get downhill and have a really good finish. But that's the challenge for him. Being consistent, doing that every night, but having that kind of mindset. Dylan Mitchell's been terrific throughout the course of the year in the role we've asked him to play for us. And he's also found ways to score for us in that process. Be a great defender, an elite guy, motor guy. And rebound your position at a very high level. When he's playing that way and running the floor and, we're trying to put him a little closer to the basket at times as well. I think he makes our team really, really good.
Roger Wallace, please.
Hey, RT, we talk a lot about the grind of the Big 12 physically. What about mentally when you can't look too far down the road because you got ranked opponents stacked up one after another?
Roger, that's a great point, and I think that the point I made to our guys, we got back to the floor and got a chance to start working again on Monday. We addressed January early as, this month is the grind, and it's the grind part of your season, but you got to be able to grind and embrace hard and embrace how competitive January is. So you can get to be in position come February where you start getting some separation a little bit as well. But you have to embrace it. But I think you have to embrace it from a point of view. And I said this to our guys on Monday, to where again we don't get too high, we don't get too low. We have an even keel, but we have a positive approach about us. No one's negative, no one's down on anybody. We're going to keep working and we're going to stay the course and we're going to keep trying to get better every day. And that's been our mindset. Go from one play to the next play and have a next play mentality. But let's be positive. Let's stay connected and let's just keep working.
Last one in the queue to Eric Henry, please, sir.
RT, yeah, just one quick follow-up on Ryder's question there. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see ESPN with the rankings of the strength of schedule. Out of the top 16, all 14 Big 12 teams were in it. Just wondering your thoughts on it. Does that really speak to just how strenuous this league is?
Well, the league's definitely a monster, no doubt about that. I mean, every night, again, you don't have a bad ball club, in the Big 12. Every night you're gonna have to come play. I mean, Central Florida, Johnny's done a great job with his group, and they're one of the elite defensive teams in this league right now. And so, every night you're facing, someone that, some team that's elite at something at a high level. And BYU, they're a big time shooting team, and I think the thing you try to strive to do every night is try to have an elite defense and an elite offense, for 40 minutes. But no, every night you have to bring your A game in this league because again, you've got great coaches and great places and great venues to play in.
Anything else, Eric? Are you good? Thanks all. Appreciate everybody's time today. Have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow night.
Guys, have a great day. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys.